start the actual installation of the MySQL Enterprise Edition product. So we will begin with the installation, and then we will follow with the configuration by following the on-screen instructions. In this section, I'm going to focus on the MySQL installer for Windows. This is the easiest, the easiest way in which you can install MySQL. Of course, the steps depend in function of the platform that you use for installing MySQL. So once you have installed and configured MySQL, if you configure MySQL as a service, then Windows will automatically start the MySQL server every time you restart the system. And also this process installs the MySQL installer application on the local host, which you can use later to upgrade or to reconfigure MySQL. So as you can see, the installer provides this easy to use wizard-like tool to install and configure new MySQL products on Windows. So let's see how this the actual steps. So first of all, I'm going to select the product. I'm going to install MySQL Server 8.0.29. The next step, we are going to check some path conflict. We have here the installation directory that I can select. I'm going to go with the default, and also the data directory. Now, the next step is to actually start the installation. MySQL is ready to install. We're going to execute. The installation will be in progress for a couple of minutes, and in a couple of minutes, we will have the MySQL server installed. Now, it is ready to be configured. The next step is the configuration part. On the server configuration type, you can choose the server configuration that best describes your setup. Basically, this setting will define the amount of system resources, amount of memory to assign to your MySQL server instance. So for production, of course, you can choose dedicated, a computer that is dedicated to running the MySQL server. Basically, no other major application run on the server, and the settings will configure MySQL to use the majority of available memory. On the connectivity side, you have some options how to connect. So how the connection to the MySQL server is made. You have the option of TCP/IP. This is enabled by default, and you use the classic port, the port for the classic MySQL protocol 3306, and we also have the X protocol 43306.0. In the advanced configuration, you can optionally check to show advanced and logging options. And here, very interestingly, you have the option to configure the MySQL enterprise firewall. So this enterprise edition add-on, you can see that from the installation tab, installation screen, you also have the option to configure this as well. So basically, this is an let's say an option that will enable this security list that offer protection against certain type of attacks. In the next section, we have the option to select the authentication method. The default, the recommended way of authenticating is by using the new authentication based on the stronger SHA-256 based password. So this is the recommended method. However, if you are unable to upgrade your clients or your application to support this new authentication method, you can also configure MySQL to use the MySQL native password, a method of authentication for legacy authentication. Next steps, accounts and roles, root account password. So it is required to assign a root password that you will also be using, or you will be asked for it when you are going to perform other MySQL installer operation. The strength of the password is evaluated, and here you have the option to create other user accounts. You can add user, edit, delete, and so on from this screen. On the Windows platform, the MySQL server can run as a service managed by the operating system, can be configured to start up automatically when Windows starts, or alternatively, you can you can configure the server to run as an executable program. It requires manual configuration. So I will go with the first option, and then you can see that all the configuration has been defined. The configuration settings are now applied. You can see that the icon basically will change to green, okay, to this whatever green check mark. And when the installation is complete, the MySQL installer and also the MySQL server, they are ready to use. So these are the steps, very easy to install MySQL on Windows using the MySQL installer.